Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Fish, and today we're going to be going through a series update. I haven't really done one of these before, and I really wanted to document and kind of like hold myself accountable and make sure I finish series. So we're going to be going through the series I've completed, the series I've DNF'd, the series I am still on trying to finish, and ongoing series that I'm like up to date with. So since I like kind of started reading in 2019 again, I'm going to start from there until present. And I'm not gonna give summaries for each of the series because there's a lot. So I'm just gonna say what I liked about it and what I didn't like about it. Alright, so since of May 2019, I've completed 8 series and DNF'd 7 series. I've still yet to complete 15 series, and there are 12 series that I'm up to date with. So let's go through the series that I've completed since May 2019 to present. Alright, so the first series is the Sherlock Holmes series by Brittany Cavallaro. I started this and completed it in 2019. I borrowed all of the books from the library. This is a YA thriller mystery series, and it's kind of set in the Sherlock Holmes world because the children, or the characters that we're following, are the grandchildren of Sherlock Holmes and James Watson, and they basically solve mysteries and stuff, and there's an overarching mystery plot in the series. It was good. I don't think I'll ever reread it again just because I didn't really like the third book very much, but I still really enjoyed it. If you want like a fun quick series to read that is like very Sherlock Holmes-esque, definitely pick this up if you want to. The next series I completed is the Scythe trilogy, Scythe, Thunderhead, and Toll. So I read Scythe and Thunderhead in 2019, and then I completed the Toll when it came out in 2020. This is a YA dystopia utopian trilogy that I really enjoyed, especially Thunderhead. It's my favorite. A lot of people have said that the Toll is kind of a letdown. I think that compared to the Thunderhead, yes, but I still really enjoy the conclusion, especially the climax of the ending. It was so dang good. I really want to reread this one day. Hopefully I will. The next series I completed is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. I started and completed this in 2019. Bought all 3 from the library. I don't own it physically, and I don't think I will, just because I don't think I'm gonna reread this. For what it was really fun, and I wanted to read it because of the movies that came out. This is a YA contemporary romance that follows Lara, and I felt like the books, or Lara herself, was so juvenile that I prefer the movies. So instead of rereading the books, I think I'll just rewatch the movies instead. But if you are interested in reading this, like, definitely give it a try. It's still good, because, you know, the movies are based on the book, so if you like the movies, you'll definitely like the book. Next one is Saga by Brian K. Vaughan. I've read all 9 volumes of this in a month in 2019, and that was an experience. This is a adult sci-fi graphic novel series. Really want to own this one day. I don't have it physically. I want to try and collect them slowly, but I borrowed all of them from my library all at once, and this is like one of my favorite series as well, just because it's so dang good in terms of like the politics, the plot, and the characters especially. And this series is told from the perspective of a child, and it's such a heartbreaking story, and I love the series so much. I really want to reread it, but only when I have it physically. Next up is the Villains Duology by V.E. Schwab. I read this in 2019 as well, back to back. This is such a good series, or like a starter series if you want to get into adult fantasy. This is a good place to start. This is adult fantasy. I have the unpopular opinion of liking Vengeful more than Vicious, just because of a character in Vengeful that I absolutely love. She's such a badass. So I really enjoyed this. Definitely want to reread it again, just to revisit the characters. I love the characters in these. Definitely has a found family trope in this, so if you're looking for one, definitely pick this up. Next up is the Truly Devious series by Maureen Johnson. This is another YA thriller mystery trilogy. So far it's a trilogy. I know the 4th one is coming out soon, but I'm just gonna consider this completed because it was originally supposed to be a trilogy. So I'm gonna put this here. This has the best boarding school environment that I've read so far, and I said I've read the Sherlock Holmes series, and that takes place in a boarding school. First and the last book, but this one takes place throughout. And oh, the atmosphere is just so freaking good. Like, if you want a nice autumnal winter read, this is what you should pick up. for sure. Definitely want to reread this again just because of the conclusion and how everything's revealed. Like certain mysteries like that, I would love to revisit to look at all the clues. So I definitely want to reread this. Don't own this physically, but I want to. Next up is Tiny Pretty Things by Sonia Kairai-Brotra and Danielle Clayton. So this is part of a duology. So the first one is Tiny Pretty Things and the second one is Shiny Broken Pieces. And I read this both in the library and then I only got this physically. I want to get the second one physically as well. And this is such a good like YA mystery contemporary kind of book. So it basically takes place in a ballet studio and there's a lot of drama, there's a lot of twists, there's a murder mystery as well. If you are in the mood for a trashy, drama-filled or Pretty Little Liars vibe, this would definitely be your thing. I mean, Tiny Pretty Things, Pretty Little Liars, it fits. Oh, also for the Tiny Pretty Things, I tried to watch the adaptation for it, but they changed so many things in that adaptation, so I just wasn't vibing with it, so I didn't watch it. I just prefer the books. And the last series that I've completed so far is the Folk of the Air trilogy. So Cruel Prince, Wicked King, sorry, and Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. So a bit of a story time with this. So I read The Cruel Prince first, obviously, and I was so close to DNFing it because the first half of the story was so freaking juvenile. The characters are 17 and 18, but they were acting like they were 10, and I hated it so much. But after that kind of hump, it got, you know, better. I think I gave it 3 stars, I'm not sure. But I thought it was good, right? And then I picked up The Wicked King by Holly Black. Got so much better, really love the ending. And then I was like, okay, fine, I'll just go on to Queen of Nothing. Much better in terms of like writing and stuff and the characters, and I really liked it, enjoyed the ending. However, not my favorite, and I don't think I'll ever reread it. I'm thinking of unhauling it just because I keep books that I reread. If I don't want to reread it, why keep it? So I don't know if I want to unhaul it just yet. They were just okay. They weren't my favorite, and they were not my favorite Fae story, but I did like the element of deception because the Fae in here cannot lie, so they have to like twist their words into different things, so they're like kind of truths but not really. I like that aspect, so I don't know, I'm just gonna keep it around and then one day I'll probably snap and be like, yeah, you're out of here, but we'll see. Okay, so those are the series that I've completed so far since 2019. Let's get into series DNFs, and these are gonna be like quite controversial. I don't know. It's just kind of like an unpopular opinion. Just know if your favorites are on here, like don't be offended or anything. It's just kind of my reading taste, my opinions. I'm sorry. Alright, first up, Shadow and Bone Trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. Hated Siege and Storm. I cannot stand Elena and Mal in the second book. Hard 1 star. And I tried the first 10 pages of Ruin Rising because like the Virgo in me is just like, I need to complete this. I need to. But I just couldn't. I couldn't. And because of that trauma, I haven't read Six of Crows, which is atrocious. I really want to, but I just, it was traumatizing. One day I may reread Shadow and Bone, we'll see, but for now it's like a hard no. Next up is the Legacy of Orisha series by Tomi Adeyemi. The first book being Children of Blood and Bone, and I really enjoyed Children of Blood and Bone, but the second book, Children of Virtue and Vengeance, I did not enjoy. I DNF'd it at like 50 pages or so. My mom also DNF'd this, and she rarely DNFs books, and she just says like it was just full of hate and the characters were just acting out just to act out. The whole point of this was just so much hate that we couldn't take it. At 50 pages, I was like, okay, this is too much for me. My mom told me what happened. I was like, yeah, I'm so glad I didn't continue. I know a lot of people didn't like the second book. I haven't heard a lot about it, but I know some people like it. Some people didn't. I wasn't vibing with it. I unhauled both of those. Next one was The Infinity Cycle by Adam Silvera. The first book being Infinity Sun, and Infinity Sun was my first ever arc from NetGalley, and I didn't like it. I gave it, I think, 2 stars. Adam Silvera is a contemporary writer. This was his first fantasy book, and for what it was cool, but I didn't vibe with the world building. I did not like the characters at all, and that's like a big thing for me. Characters I need to like. Did not like the characters, didn't like it at all. They were very insufferable. I was promised phoenixes, only 1 scene with a phoenix. So no, I will not be continuing with the series. I know the next book is out now. I'm not gonna do it. Next one is the Simon Snow series by Rainbow Rowell. The first book being Carry On, second book being Wayward Son, I think. I read both. Carry On was good. It was unique in terms of magic system. It's a YA fantasy. Characters were cool. I just didn't care enough about all of it. So I know when I first read it on Goodreads, I gave it 5 stars and I was like, oh my god, this is so good. Reminds me of Harry Potter, blah blah blah. The more I think about it, it was just generic. And the second book was just okay. It wasn't that great compared to the first book, so I just won't be continuing with that. I've also unhauled both my copies as well. Next one is the Curse Breaker series by Bridget Kemmerer. I actually have Bridget Kemmerer's old YA series. It's the Elemental series. I really like that. I haven't reread it in a while, but at the time when I read it as a teenager, I liked it. So I thought I'd give A Curse of Dark and Lonely a try. And it was a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but with a twist. I thought it was okay. Like, the whole twist part was just cool. A lot of tropes that I've seen before hundreds of times. I wasn't vibing with the characters and the romance. So because it was just okay, I didn't continue, and I've asked my mom how the other 2 was because she's read the series. She said they were okay. She didn't like the last one as much. I just won't read it. The next one is The Great Cities by N.K. Jemisin. I don't know if this counts or not, but I just put it here. I DNF'd the first book, The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. I won't be continuing the series. Like, I didn't like the setting, but I really liked her writing style. Therefore, I'm gonna like try and read her other books because I have all of her other books that I will read. And the last one is The Hades Trial by Eliza Rain and Rose Wilson. So I read the first book, Power of Hades, I think, during Bookopoly this year, and it was good. The romance was okay. It's just because it's a short book. Everything was rushed. The character relationships were rushed. The romance was rushed, and I wasn't really buying it because of that. I like slow burn romance. I like slow paced books. So this wasn't doing it for me. My mom, again, she's read so much. She told me that it's kind of the same throughout. So I was like, okay, I'll just drop it. Not really interested. That's all of the 7 series DNFs that I've had. Let's go into the series that I still yet to complete because there's 15 of them and there's a lot. First up is the Strange the Dreamer duology by Laini Taylor. I've read Strange the Dreamer at the end of 2019 and I haven't picked up Muse of Nightmares. I recently got this year for a great deal, so I think I might get to it next month. I'm not sure. We'll see. But I definitely want to complete this. I really loved Strange the Dreamer. The writing was so beautiful. The world was done so well. I loved the gods that were in here that we see. I really want to finish the series and see what happens because that cliffhanger though, that was a lot. The second series that I need to read is the Camelot Rising series by Kristen White. The first one being Guinevere Deception and the second one being the Camelot Betrayal. I just realized that this is like matte and this is like glossy. How weird. Okay, anyway, I read the Guinevere Deception last year and I thought it was really good. What I like the most is the characters because I love Arthurian legend and I love Merlin. So the characters in this were just really nostalgic and just so cool to see in a book. And the plot itself was pretty predictable, but I still like enjoyed it and I want to continue and see where it goes. So I need to read Camelot Betrayal, but just came out end of last year, I think. The next series is the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. So I've read Stalking Jack the Ripper and Hunting Prince Dracula so far. So I need to complete the other 2, which is Escaping from Houdini and Capturing the Devil by Carrie Maniscalco. As you can see, I've like started Escaping from Houdini, but I just wasn't feeling it at the time, so I put it down. But I hope to get to these 2 one day. I started this last year and the atmosphere was really, really good, especially with this and the second one. I love the mystery and especially Audrey. She's very into forensic science and I know a little bit, I mean, not a little bit, I have a degree in human biology, but I knew what she was talking about in terms like of the human body and what she was seeing. I really enjoyed that aspect of it, so I really want to continue and hopefully we get more of that too. Also, very lukewarm about the romance in here. I know a lot of people like obsessed with Thomas Cresswell, but I'm just like, cool. He's cool. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Next up is the Serpent and Dove. I think it's going to be a trilogy, but so far it's only 2 books. So I read Serpent and Dove last year. Absolutely enjoyed it. Like I read it with the audiobook while I was physically reading it. Such a good time. And I finished this in like 24 hours. Then the second book came out last year in September. I didn't really have a chance to pick it up, but I've heard mixed reviews, so I'm a bit nervous. What I enjoy about these is 1, the romance, and 2, the magic system. It has limitations and I really like that because there's so much things to like work your way around it. Like what I said with the Folk of the Air trilogy, with that deception, you gotta work your way around it. It's the same with the magic system. So I really like that aspect. So I can't wait to read this, and I know the third book's coming out in September again or August, I'm not sure. So maybe I might wait for that third book to come out and then reread Serpent and Dove and then read those two after that. Next up is the Kings of the Wild duology. So Kings of the Wild, I read this last year, and this will always hold a special place in my heart because this is the first book pick for the Shell Space Book Club, and I gave this 5 stars. I absolutely love this book. It's adult fantasy, by the way, and Bloody Rose is the companion series to Kings of the Wild. So it follows the daughter of one of the characters in here. Kings of the Wild was hilarious, so funny. I know this one is a bit darker than Kings of the Wild, but I still really want to continue on because I like the world, I like the characters, and I want to find out more. I really love Nicholas Eames' writing as well. So I definitely want to continue this. There's only one book left, you know. I think I can do it. Next up is the Mistborn trilogy. So I've read Final Empire and the Well of Ascension last year, almost back to back actually. Absolutely love this series so much, even though I haven't completed it, but I love this so much, especially Well of Ascension. It's my favorite so far. And as you can see here, I started rereading it in March actually. I still haven't finished it for some unknown reason. I'm reading it through audio. I still haven't finished it. So my plan was to reread Final Empire, Well of Ascension, and then continue on to Hero of Ages. And I know what you must be thinking. How can you finish Well of Ascension and not immediately pick up Hero of Ages? I don't know. I'm a psychopath. I don't know what happened there. But I know Hero of Ages has a very twisty, surprising ending. I don't know if I'm ready for it, but I wasn't even ready for Well of Ascension, but yeah. I definitely want to try and complete the series by at least end of this year. That's the goal for this. Next up is the Chronicles of Narnia series by C.S. Lewis. So I've read The Magician's Nephew and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And I kind of read these during readathons just because they're short. I started this in 2019, so I haven't completed it just yet, just because I'm waiting for like the perfect readathon or like a readathon that I can insert these into them and then complete them slowly. I loved The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe just because I'm obsessed with the Narnia movies, so I loved that book the most so far. Next up is the Fullmetal Alchemist manga series by Hiromu Arakawa, and there's 27 volumes and I'm on volume 20. It's a long manga series. I mean, it's not One Piece, but you know, it's still long, and I absolutely love this series. I'm trying to collect the Fullmetal edition, and then so far I'm only up to volume 4, and I know there's 10 or 11 out so far. But I've been borrowing the volumes from the library because they have individual ones. Hopefully I can complete this this year as well. I've just kind of been reading them slowly, like just kind of filler books in between big dense books. So hopefully I'll finish it by the end of the year. Next up is the Red Rising saga by Pierce Brown. So fun fact, I've read Red Rising twice. I read it last year and then didn't continue on to the series because I didn't own them physically at that time in the library. I had to like borrow it, but then I had to give it back, and then I never borrowed it again. But then I got them all physically, reread Red Rising at the beginning of this year, and then continue on to Golden Sun, which I also really liked. Now I've yet to complete the next 3. Again, hopefully I'll finish them by this year because Alan from Library of Alexandria is hosting Feb Rising. They're already on Dark Age next month, but I'm still like continuing and trying to finish it this year. So wish me luck for that. Next is the Illuminate Files by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. I read Illuminate and Gemini. I only have to read Obsidio, and hopefully I can read this next month because that's the plan, but we'll see. So I liked Illuminate, especially the mixed media aspect. Like, it was good. But then when it came to Gemini, the dialogue kind of got to me. It was very juvenile. There was a lot of juvenile sexual innuendos that was just placed at the wrong time, and I was just over it. But I did like the premise a lot. I always thought it's Die Hard meets Aliens. That's the premise. And I really like it. It's just the dialogue got to me a little bit. I'm curious to see how it all ends, for sure. Next up is the Burning series by Evan Winter. First one being Rage of Dragons and the second one being Fires of Vengeance. So far there's only 2 out, and I know there will be more ongoing. So Fires of Vengeance. This one came out end of last year. I read Rage of Dragons last year, September, I think, for Shell Space Book Pick of the Month. It caused a civil war. Like, it really did. People loved it or hated it. I kind of stand in the middle. I thought it was good, but it wasn't the best and it wasn't the worst. So it was good. And I was curious to find out what happened, so I got Fires of Vengeance, which I need to read. I'm just hoping there's more dragons, to be honest. So I hope there's more dragons. Next is the Poppy War series by R.F. Kuang. Ooh, reflective light. Poppy War series by R.F. Kuang. So I've read only the Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I haven't read the other two just yet. So I read this last year. I actually have a vlog for it, non-spoiler, if you want to go check it out for my reactions reading this. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. There was a few issues I had with it. Don't really quite remember what they were, but I know I had issues. Like, watch that vlog. I speak about them. But I really enjoyed this. It's very dark, and I need to be in the mood for it just so I can like process it and read it. But I really want to continue with it. I'm definitely going to be doing separate vlogs for the next two, so watch out for that. Okay, so the next series is kind of not a secret. Oh no, it is a secret. The next series is kind of a secret because I've been doing a secret vlog since December. If anyone remembers me talking about it, let me know, because I started in December. I've read the first two. I need to read the third one to complete the vlog. So I still need to do that, but it's definitely gonna happen next month and the vlog will be out. Sorry about the time jump, but it will be out because I really was excited to do this vlog. So as I said, secret series, I'm enjoying it. I really like the second book the most so far. So yes, nice and vague. Next one is The Patience of a Dead Man series by Michael Clark. This is a self-pub horror series and it's all available through Kindle Unlimited if you want to check it out. I enjoyed the first book, Patience of a Dead Man, so I need to read the second and third book, which I haven't. But the first book scared the bejesus out of me. It was so dang good. If you want to know more about this series, check out Leslie from Nerdy Narrative. She has read all three, so she would give you a little bit more about it because I've only read the first book. And the story in Patience of a Dead Man, like the haunting story, it carries on to the second book and the third book, so I'm very intrigued to find out what's happening and what's gonna happen. And the last one that I need to complete is the Diviner series. I'm missing the third book, but I read City of Stairs by Robert Jackson Bennett in January. It was one of the Shell Space pick for January, and I was the co-host and we chose City of Stairs. I know a lot of people enjoyed it. I definitely did. I love the characters and the magic system. It's so complex and so, I don't want to say whimsical, but it's like kind of dark whimsical. It's really cool. The second book is City of Blades and the third book is City of Miracles. I still need to get third book, but I really want to continue this as I have finished Foundry Side, which will be in the ongoing series. We'll get to that. All right, so that's all the series that I need to complete. Let's go on to the 12 ongoing or up-to-date series. First one is Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. 4 volumes are out. I've only read 3. I know the 4th one literally just came out. I got the 4th one out from the library so I can read it at the beginning of June for the readathon. So I'm very excited to continue on. So I put this on ongoing because this like literally just came out. Next one is the Wayward Children series by Shauna McGuire. This is an adult novella series that I do enjoy. The second one, Down Among Sticks and Bones, is my absolute favorite. The others are not my favorite. Down Among Sticks and Bones is my favorite, and because of that atmosphere and the writing for that second book, I want to continue throughout the series. I've enjoyed In an Absent Dream and Come Tumbling Down because Come Tumbling Down is set in the same world as Down Among the Sticks and Bones, so I enjoyed them. And the 6th book, I believe, just came out and I haven't gotten it yet, but I have put it on hold on the library, so it should be coming soon so I can get up to date again. Next one is the Last Hour series by Cassandra Clare. I read Chain of Gold last year when it came out. I reread it again in March because Chain of Iron just came out in March. I haven't picked it up yet. Definitely will by this year for sure. And you can see a trend here. All my ongoing series is kind of like there's one book, you know, there's one book out, but it only just came out. So it's gonna be on the ongoing series that I need to complete and be up to date with. But I'm like up to date with, you know. Next up is House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. This is the first book. Second book's coming out in January, so I'm up to date because I only have to read the first book for it. I loved House of Earth and Blood, but because I read it more than a year ago, details are kind of fuzzy, so I really want to reread it before the second book comes out. I absolutely love this. There were some issues in terms of the mystery plot, but like it's Sarah J Maas, you know? I just realized that I forgot to add one more series that I have been up to date with, so make that 13 series that I'm up to date with. And the series that I forgot was the ACOTAR series, so I'm up to date because Courtesy of Flames is the newest book. I first read ACOTAR in 2019, so I started and completed it in 2019. This came out in the beginning of the year, read it, so I'm up to date. Next up is the Cassidy Blake series by Victoria Schwab. This is her middle grade horror books. And the third one, I think Bridge of Souls, just came out. Just came out a couple of weeks ago, I think. So I need to read that to be completed, because I think the third book is the last book. So after that, I'll be completed. I enjoy these books. Like, the horror elements is just really, really cool. And the writing is just easy and they're short. I just enjoy my time with them. Next one is the Founders trilogy by Robert Jackson Bennett. Founderside being the first book and Shorefall being the second book. I read this last year. I read it back to back. I love this series so much. I love the characters, I love the writing, I love the world building, I love the magic system. It's so complex. It reminds me of Brandon Sanderson's magic system. So I really love this. And the cliffhanger in Shorefall is just so huge. And we don't have a date for the third book. There's no cover, there's no title, there's no date. No news about the third book, and I'm nervous. I'm so nervous because if you've read Shorefall, you know how it ends, and we need answers. We need a lot of answers. I really do love this series. If you haven't read it yet, please pick up the series. I'll just say, between the Founders trilogy and the Divine Cities trilogy, this is, the dialogue at least, is more YA, more juvenile than the Divine Cities. They're both adult fantasy though, so just be aware of that. Alright, the next series, I don't really want to promote it. The author is kind of a bit of an asshole on Twitter, but I really, really enjoyed the book the author put out, and I really want to read the next book. However, I'm just not gonna promote or talk about it on my channel, but I really enjoyed it. If you want to know what it is, and you don't have a problem with it, like, DM me, I'll tell you about it. But I just don't want to promote an asshole author on my channel. But I do want to continue on with the series. So, moving on. Next one is the absolute god tier of series, and that is Jade City and Jade War by Fonda Lee. Oh my god. I don't know how to tell you how much I love this series. Like, I dreamt that Fonda Lee herself gave me the arc for Jade Legacy. Like, she was like, here, take this arc, here. And I was like, thanks. I'm so important. Thank you. And I absolutely devoured that book and I loved it. But I haven't even read it, so how do I know if I love it? You know? All that to say is, I love this series so much, especially Jade War. Jade War I gave 4.5 stars when I read it, but it's up to 5 stars now. It is one of my favorite books that I read last year. And Jade City's good. It's really, really good. I would say Jade War was better. Jade War is basically Jade City on steroids. And it's... if you haven't read it, please do. It's not for everyone just because it's so very political and so very slow. It's based on like mafia family drama with a hint of magic. Not hint. There is magic, but it's not like epic fantasy magic. I love, 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 love the characters so much. And I cannot wait for Jade Legacy to come out in November. Next up is the Scholomance series by Naomi Novik, the first book being A Deadly Education. I buddy read this with Abby last year when it came out, and we enjoyed it. I actually have a love-hate relationship with this book. I didn't like it because of the whole writing style that she had with this book. But the story as a whole was pretty unique and pretty good. So I have like a love-hate relationship with it, but because the story or the cliffhanger in this was cliffhangery and I was very intrigued, so I'm definitely going to continue on with this series. Next up is the From Blood and Ash series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I've read all 3 books now. I'm up to date. The 3rd book just came out in April. I read it. The 2nd book will always be my favorite. I enjoyed both the 1st and 2nd, but the 3rd one was just such a disaster that I don't know if I want to continue on with the series, but I really do want to continue because the whole plot and the mythology and the characters are really good, but weren't executed well. Like, the 1st and 2nd book were good. The characters were great characters. And then suddenly, in the 3rd book, they were just different people, at least for me. I don't know if you've noticed, but to me, they were different. They were a lot more immature. I guess I don't know how to explain it. They were just different. And I didn't really like it. I enjoyed the plot, especially the ending. God, that ending was what I expected for the whole book to be, not just the ending. That ending, that Poppy in the ending is what I expected Poppy to be in the entire book, but she wasn't. Anyway, I think I'm going to continue. I'm already 3 books into it. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. It's a fun time, but the 3rd book was not a fun time. You see what I mean? I'm conflicted. So we'll put this here as up-to-date series for now. Next up is the Malice duology by Heather Walter. I got this arc from NetGalley and then I really liked it. I got myself a physical copy. This is a adult fantasy that has Sleeping Beauty retelling with a twist. We're following the villain of the story and her path and her journey and her falling in love with Aurora. It's amazing. And again with the ending, that Alice, our protagonist, is named Alice. That Alice is what I was expecting for the whole book. But because of that ending, I really want to read the next one because there's just so much potential Alice could have because of that ending. So I'm freaking excited for the next one. And the last one I want to talk about is The Helm of Midnight by Marina Lostetter. And this is part of the 5 Penalties series. This is the first book. I got this as an arc on NetGalley and I absolutely love this. This is marketed as Mistborn meets Silence of the Lambs. It's such a weird combination, but it works so freaking well. I love this, especially the magic system and the characters and the writing. Ugh. I cannot wait for the next book. I know Patrick really loved this as well. I know Brittany from Books with Brittany loved this as well. So if you haven't read this, please do. Like if you loved Mistborn, the complexity of that magic system, it's the same in this one. So give it a try. I think you'll like it. I loved it so much. So those are all the series that I've completed, DNF'd, up to date on, and still need to complete. Sorry if this video was a bit long, but I just wanted to kind of speed through it and just say what I liked and didn't like. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and if there's any series that I've mentioned that you also need to complete or continue, or you've DNF'd or you still like up to date with, like let me know. Let me know everything. I'm so glad I did this. Now I just have like a full-on document of my series update, and then I'll do another one when it needs to be updated. Like this video if you liked it, subscribed if you haven't. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!